In late 2000, posts started showing up on the internet from somebody alleged to be an American fighter from the year 2036. John Titor, as he called himself, was en route back to 1975, utilizing a gadget introduced as part of a 1987 Chevy Suburban to get an IBM 5100 computer to fight a computer virus bound to destroy the world. Titor implied at a world plagued by clashes, building up to a series of Russian nuclear strikes in 2015 that would slaughter nearly 3 billion people. Titor's post suddenly stopped in 2001, yet the fascination surrounding Titor proceeded. In 2003, a bound version of Titor's 151 message board posts was discharged under the title John Titor, A Time Traveler's Tale. In spite of the fact that no more in print, one can even now purchase another duplicate for an eye-popping $300 to $1,500 on Amazon, or a used one at a more unobtrusive price. The book was distributed by the John Titor Foundation, a revenue-driven partnership kept running by Florida stimulation lawyer Lawrence Haber. The foundation additionally possesses the copyright to the implied badge of Titor's military unit, the Fighting Diamondbacks, which is engraved with a quote from Roman poet Ovid, in which signify, "Time eats up all things," except the myth surrounding John Titor, it seems. In 1982, 69-year-old Marvin Brandlin lived with his spouse Ethel in Fort Dodge, Iowa. On Halloween that year, the Brandlins were passing out candy to trick-or-treaters who went to their home. At some point, they answered the door and were stunned to see a man wearing a mask. He said, "Trick or treat, give me your cash or I'll shoot." The Brandlins thought somebody was playing a Halloween joke and attempted to remove the man's mask. However, he wouldn't give them a chance to. Rather, the costumed man went into the house and pulled out a firearm. He requested that the couple bring him down to their basement and give him all the cash they had stashed in their safe. The Brandlins got to be suspicious since few knew it existed. For the most part, it was just relatives. Hence, Marvin was still persuaded that it was a close friend or relative. When he got to the kitchen, Mr. Brandlin declined to go further and reached for the gun. The intruder ended up shooting Marvin in the throat before escaping the house and mysteriously deserting his cover. Ethel was so damaged by her husband's passing that she died just a couple months after the incident. Throughout the years, an associate of the Brandlin family had supposedly boasted about carrying out the homicide, so DNA testing was performed on the mask. On the other hand, there wasn't sufficient material for a satisfactory test, so there is still no evidence to charge this suspect, and Marvin Brandlin's homicide remains a cold case. Robert the Doll is the epitome of a child's worst nightmare. At first glance, it looks innocent enough, only a hand-sewn doll in a mariner's outfit. However, during the evening, it wakes up and assaults kids. As indicated by the story, the doll was given to a young man by the name of Eugene Odo, the child of two craftsmen who recently moved to Key West, Florida toward the end of the 19th century. The gift came from a Jamaican witch who was hired by the Odos to be Eugene's babysitter. Before long, the Odos started listening to Eugene's conversing with the doll in his room. What's more, another voice will reply. A couple weeks after the fact, Eugene started shouting in the night that Robert was attempting to kill him. Neighbors reported seeing the doll moving in the windows of the house. Workers in the house gave frightened reports that the doll would laugh while their backs were turned. Here and there they saw shadows of the doll running around the room. When Eugene grew up, he inherited his family's home and kept Robert the doll close by. The doll kept on scaring guests, despite the fact that Eugene appeared to have an abnormal obsession with it. He would get irate when his wife would conceal the doll or place it in the storage room, saying that Robert required a view of the street. After Eugene passed away in 1972, the doll tormented the new owners of the house for a couple of years before being put in an exhibition hall in Key West. One of the most bizarre instances of claimed phantom vehicles is Eastern Airlines Flight 401, the TriStar jetliner that crashed in December 1972 into a Florida swamp. The mishap killed 101 people, including Captain Bob Loft and flight engineer Don Repo. Before long, reports of spooky hauntings started to roll in from the planes who had gotten extra parts from Flight 401. A large portion of the frightening apparitions were accounted for by Eastern's crew members, particularly those on the one specific plane of the airline's fleet. Repo's Phantom seemed much of the time both in the cockpit and also in the galley, the region where flight specialists arranged travelers' dinners. He was all by accounts particularly worried with flight security, and apparently fixed a defective boiler circuit on one event. In different examples, he called attention to a potential fire risk and a hydraulic leak. Loft's ghost was likewise seen on different flights, typically sitting in first class or in the cabin. A flight attendant once encountered Loft, asking what he was doing on the plane as she had not seen him load up and couldn't recognize him on the passenger list. Getting no answer, she reported it to the flight's captain. He walked back with her and recognized Loft, who vanished instantly before multiple eyewitnesses. The airline was somewhat wary of individuals who reported the sightings, and recommended they look for psychiatric help at the company's expense. Nonetheless, skeptical of the claims or not, the airline did decide to remove the salvaged parts of Flight 401 from the aircraft they had been put into. The paranormal incidents came to a close. In the end, the sightings were transformed into a top-rated book by daily paper correspondent John G. Fuller.